What's up, guys? We are back today. We have some exciting news. I have a friend here that's going to join me in just a second. We're going to be talking organized play for Disney Lorcana. The one, the only, Mr. George Machado. How are you doing, sir?
Excited. Excited. It's Lorcana release week. Who's not
I
excited?
know. It's crazy, right? Like, we never thought it would come in some ways.
I know. I know.
Gen Con was kind of a release week for some of us, though. So it's almost like a second release for some of us.
Yeah. We definitely got to jam some games, but unfortunately did not get into any of the limited events.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay. They were just starter deck events. The fun stuff's coming,
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
All right. So we are here and we're going to be discussing something very exciting, and it is Disney Lorcana organized play. And we're going to be covering the who, what, when, where, and more. But first and foremost, for those of you that do not know, this is Mr. George Machado from Pro Play Games. Why don't you give me a quick background on Pro Play Games, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. I own and operate Pro Play Games, along with my fantastic team, 60 of us that all work in some capacity here at the storefront. So we have a storefront from Miami, Florida, just like any your local game store. But as of recently, I want to say like 5 or 6 years ago, we started the PPG Event Management company. So it's our sister company to Pro Play Games, and we've been doing a lot of like premier level events for some of the top manufacturers in the industry, which you might have heard of. Konami, Wizards of the Coast, Bandai, Bushi Road, you name it, really. And we're kind of like hired to put on these like really professional, either streamed or not streamed, competitive level events for the community. So, us kind of being built on, the players and being for the players, we've been able to put on a really good tournament experience because we know as players what we want to see when we're competing prize wise and experience wise, right? Like being able to make sure that, you're taking the tournament seriously, and then obviously, everything's being enforced the way that it should be. So between Pro Play Games and PPG Event Management, we're able to put on these shows pretty much almost every weekend. We literally just came back from putting on 3 different shows, and we kind of just do that throughout the calendar year while owning and operating, the main storefront, which is just growing a local community and doing all that cool local stuff to make sure that the games really are just like alive and beating at our home storefront.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys do like a weekly stream for games too, right?
Yeah,
I know you've done it for other stuff. But yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
And
we
this
play
is
games like 3 different titles every single day. So
right.
we stream one of them. So we'll have our One Piece stream day, our Digimon stream day. Like we have a setup stream at the store, and we do kind of just like not really commentary, but just to show people like, hey, this is the banter between these guys, and you
Yeah.
can even follow your favorite local hero that
Nice,
stays at
nice,
your table one hero, right? That you
nice.
see
I
on the
love it.
stream every week.
Yeah.
So and then we can't wait to start throwing Lorcana to our Tuesday time slot now at the storefront, which we'll be doing Tuesdays, maybe a second day, depending on how the community goes and how it turns out. But that's what happened with One Piece. One Piece came out, we started one day, and then we grew to a second day, then we grew to a third day. And as it's cooled off, we've kind of trimmed down to a second day. But we kind of just want to make sure that everybody in the community has like somewhere to play that's competitive, gives out prizes. Like we're opting to not sell any product. We're just giving it out for tournaments
Nice.
to make sure that people are really like just playing this game and not just like putting it in their basement and forgetting about it.
Fair, very fair.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I think it's time that we just spill the beans, right? So you contacted me and you told me about Lorcana OP tour calendar, which is
Yep.
starting in just a few weeks in
Yes.
September.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it, man. What is the PPG Entertainment plans for Lorcana here?
Yeah. So we wanted to build out kind of like a pseudo season, since we heard that there was not going to be like any officially supported nationwide organized play support until maybe the second year of Lorcana, and we've worked with enough new games that we know how detrimental and important that first year of play and support is as far as the product goes and being able to have those opportunities to compete. And we wanted to give people another excuse to buy these great cards and great products. So we're putting on a Lorcana tour throughout the U.S. I know that one is really rearing up on us, but these are designated to kind of just like pinpoint different places in the United States. If you notice, we got an East Coast, we got a West Coast, and we got a Midwest location. So if you're anywhere in those coasts, obviously in North America, you'll be able to have something to kind of play at. Kicking it off in Denver, Colorado at NDK. A lot of these are at conventions. If you noticed, some of them will require con badges, some of them won't, depending on like the contractual obligations that we have with those conventions. We're trying to make it as economical for you guys to pay, but if there's going to be a con badge attached to it, we're going to make sure that those that price support really makes it worthwhile for you guys. And like I said, we haven't been selling any of our product because we wanted to save it for these fantastic tours and more. So we want to make sure that one, that there's something for you guys to look forward to. There's equal representation across the coast, and with more planning, which we're already planning for like chapter 2, chapter 3 tour dates, we'll be able to kind of like maybe stray away from these conventions and have some standalone Lorcana experiences. But for right now, these three locations that we have on the slate, I think is going to be really good for a lot of people to kind of like really test their skills on the grand scale, and with physical cards, and kind of make sure that we make Lorcana into a large game as they kind of catch up on their organized play capabilities going into next year.
That's awesome. Sounds great. Is there anything you can tell me about the events now?
Just a little bit. I mean,
Sure.
obviously product, right?
Right.
We want to make sure that we tailor each one to make sure that they have enough product on the line so that people can like justify going out to these. The cap is not going to be huge because, like I said, we're working with these conventions, so it was already kind of like hard to pull those strings to get us the real estate that we needed for Lorcana. So the tickets aren't going to be huge. Obviously, they're going to be capped, and they might go really fast or they might go really slow. We don't know. Obviously, some of these don't have as much time to plan, like the Denver one, as like the others. But we want to make sure that it's a fun, professional experience. We want to work with building our judge staff for the game because there is no official, TRM from what I understand right now
Not
at
yet.
this moment. I know that Gen Con, there's some rules that we got spoiled to us, like there's 50 minutes in the round, there's 5 minutes in overtime, there's a best of 3, yada yada. So we'll be able to run with a lot of that stuff. A lot of that stuff, what we're gonna have to do is just kind of build from the ground up based on like how other competitive card games like Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, all the Bandai titles, and thankfully we're experienced with how all those TRMs kind of work. So we're gonna try to find that really good in between, as kind of like Roethlisberger finds its footing, really addressing the biggest problem right now, which is the product shortage. So as they figure that out, we want to make sure that we kind of like pick up the ball and organize play so that we can get things running, because those that are used to getting into highly demanded games are going to find their product one way or another, right? Whether it's camping out at your local Target or Walmart or just buying the singles from TCG Player. Disclaimer: we will have singles on there because we actively buy a lot. Gen Con, we were able to buy all the boxes that we kind of were able to, and listed all the singles to make sure that we not only have the singles in store, but also have them online and make realistic prices for them so that, it is affordable for those that want to get into the game, without having to, ball out on those legendaries and things like that. So
we don't need all the enchanted yet.
Yeah, right, dude. We don't need it. Not right now. But yeah, that's all I can say as far as like the events. Obviously, we're gonna have an event landing page for each event, and each event is gonna be as consistent as the others. But like I said, if they have an attached con badge, we're gonna try to throw them some extra goodies to really make it worth it. But regardless, honestly, if anybody has been to any of these cons, obviously Gen Con, right? There's a lot more to do than just Lorcana, right? Like, don't go just there for the tournament experience, be cooped up in a room all day. Really consider supporting the con and just looking at the various different vendors that will be there that buy and sell these singles potentially, and just a bunch of other just nice accessories or celebrity guests is a big thing. I know Miami TCG Con, for example, is going to have a lot of Lorcana illustrators there.
I believe
so
it's
a lot
10
of the
already.
Yeah. So it's going to be really big, and I wouldn't be surprised if these other cons kind of follow in those footsteps. And we want to make this a staple at some of the larger conventions that we've worked with, to kind of make sure that we can put this game in the eyes of people that really don't even know that this is coming out. Because surprisingly, there's a lot of people that don't know that this is a thing or this is a game. And when we put it in front of them at Fan Expo Chicago, when we had some of the singles from Gen Con, people were like, "Whoa, is this real?" Like,
okay, so you guys were already on top of it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Right after Gen Con, we were literally on, like, as soon as we landed, we had 2 days, then we were over to Fan Expo Chicago.
Okay.
And we were just trying to get the cards in the hands to the point where we even took some of the commons, we kind of like bundled them into like little mystery packs in a
Yeah.
way, and made it so affordable that people didn't have an excuse to not pick it up and really be curious, because we understand like putting out those packs and boxes for these absurd market prices, it's really not going to help you get any player
Right.
base, really.
Right.
Honestly, it's
Right.
just
Right.
going to attract those that want to flip your product. So
Right.
instead, we kind of like approach it in a different way where we're like, hey, we're going to get this to you in the cheapest way possible, even if we got to break it down for you. So, like we made like 3 different demo decks for people in store, out of like some of the draft chaff that we had. And we're like, look, we're going to be able to teach people with physical cards, because there wasn't any demo decks sent to us. And that way they can kind of like play it out. And if they want to buy some of these singles, they're going to be as cheap as a quarter, from us in the binder or in the dollar box or whatever.
Right.
So,
Right. 2 follow-up questions.
yeah.
One, do we know what the format for at least what's it, son? I'm sorry, I'm gonna mess this up. For non-Desukan, do we know what the format is planned? Is it limited? Is it constructed? Do we have any of that we
Yeah,
can
so
share?
these are all going to be constructed.
Okay,
Obviously,
perfect.
another thing, like the major decision point on that is just product, right? Like we can't
Right.
figuratively, like, sure, we might have gotten some of the largest allocations in the United States, but
Sure.
that's still not a lot. I'm sure
Right. Right.
everybody
Right.
knows
Right.
what the cap was, and we
Yeah.
were at the cap, but people are not even getting their product for release week. So like
Right.
we're holding back enough to have for these events, and
Okay.
obviously we have a little bit of wiggle room as far as like, all right, let's juice up NDK, because they require con badge, whereas Miami TCG Con, for example, will not require TCG con badge.
Oh,
So
interesting. Okay.
yeah, so there's going to be some that do require and some don't, and then that's why we're going to like throw an extra prize support for those that do.
Okay.
But we have that already unlocked, but they will be constructed.
Okay.
Unfortunately, as much as I would love to do sealed or draft, and that sounds like the coolest format ever, trust me, we just don't have the products to do it. And hopefully that changes for chapter 2, because if you notice, that last tour day in GalaxyCon
It is
is
chapter 2
chapter 2.
removal. Yes.
That's chapter 2,
That was
guys.
gonna be my follow-up question.
So yeah, and that one might have even better price support, because like the product issue probably
Might be
catches up.
better.
And then
Right.
we're just like, all right, well, guess what? We got our wave 3 of set 1, and we got like a really big allocation for set 2, because Ravensburger has been planning and planning and planning and kind of like getting their logistics figured out. And guess what? This is going to be upgraded to, whatever. Obviously, we
Right.
want to make sure that everything is kind of like uniformed and more or less standardized now.
Right.
But if those need to be increased or whatever, depending on how ticket sales go, we can go to the con and be like, hey, like we've sold out all these seats. Can you allot us more seats?
Right.
We throw in a little bit more pricing because we've talked to distributors, and let's make some magic happen, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's what we always want
It's
to do. But if
Disney
you,
magic.
yeah,
Disney magic.
exactly, exactly. And if you know about us, we always put up worthwhile prize support, and we want to make it worthwhile for you guys to come out, but also not kind of like shy away those people that are just wanting to play like physically
Yeah.
at their store, because maybe they don't have like a local game store that has organized
Sure.
play approved. So
Sure.
it's a nice little thing that we need. It's a balancing act, really. And but at the end of the day, we're open to constructive criticism, and like we
Awesome.
mentioned, we want to build together a judge team, and we want to get some other stores on board too, so that they can at least have some of the product if we don't, for example, have enough product to sell ourselves. Obviously, like we want to make sure that we partner with some of the vendors, hopefully, that are at these events, that can come out and provide that to people. And that's why we made that post on Facebook, to kind of let people know, hey, we want to work with you, right? If you're a
Right.
store, we want to work with you. If you're an aspiring judge and you've been a judge for other games, we want to work with you, right? Because we want to
Awesome.
build something that's from the ground floor without anything to really go off of at this point.
That's awesome. So you just said that you just mentioned the vendor. So like that weekend is the opening weekend for box store locations at September 2nd and 3rd. So we assume that we'll have you guys at least as a vendor, and maybe other vendors on site for people picking up those last minute singles and extended.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it being a con, you're already expecting like hundreds of vendors, right?
Right.
With some cons, we will be able to work something out where we have another vendor in the game room, right? But that's usually something that's like up to the con rules or whatever the case
Right.
is. For example, Miami TCG Con, we're going to be a little bit more flexible, and we're going to be able to have several different vendors within that game room, where you don't have to go and buy a badge to go to the exhibitor hall to go.
To buy.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
exactly. So you can always have that option, and then us as the tournament organizers and storefront, we're always going to try our best to have those singles, but there's not always going to be a guarantee that we have any type of sealed product whatsoever, because all that sealed product is being spoken for the
Right.
tournaments essentially. So
Awesome.
don't go there expecting like for sure to have like sealed product options. And that's why we kind of targeted, like we were like the earliest we could potentially do it is that first week of September, because people will be able to go to their Walmart, Target that Friday,
Yeah.
worst case, and kind of get like whatever they need to get, and then kind of
Right.
just show up, and then like, oh, I'm missing a few legendaries, they'll be able to pick those up off us, right?
That's awesome.
But that was the idea, really. So
Okay, cool. Is there anything else you'd like to share now?
that's pretty much it. One more thing. I mean, we've been kind of restructuring our YouTube and kind of like trying to get Lorcana added on there. So we recently just dropped a how to play video for a
Okay.
lot of our subscribers. The bulk of our subscribers really, like, I guess you can see us as the largest Lorcana YouTube, because like technically we've been around since, like years. Like I think
Yeah,
our
you're
YouTube's
more of
like
like a
10 years
large
old.
trading card game YouTube.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, we have our like 40 or 50,000 subscribers, but they
Right.
all kind of got there through other various different games that we've kind of like became the ambassadors for. So
Yeah.
that I feel like will also add to the growing potential community base and player base, so that you can get existing TCG players also that are playing other games also come into your game, because that's always just better for everybody. So obviously check out our channel for the learn and plays. We just recorded our first deck profile today. We're gonna just really try to supplement a lot of this with our own content, so that people can like not just have the tournament to go to, but also kind of have like a guideline of how to,
Play
what
the
deck
game.
should I take to this event,
Right.
right? Like, how do I play this game, right? Like, how do all these different things we kind of want to supplement. And because we have such a just great and talented team and large team, I think that we're going to be able to provide all that to the standards that everybody expects, until things kind of start getting officialized by
Right.
Burger.
Right. But even then, you guys, like you said, you host events for other games that are covered from other people, so you'll still carry this on most likely into 2024, right?
Yes. I mean, the ideal scenario, right, is like Ravensburger wants to officialize
Right.
this type of their own type of series with a national championship and a world championship, and we're able to execute that vision on their behalf.
Right.
But like I said, we don't have a lot of information on how that's going to go, and at the very least, we'll be able to provide them a roadmap, or kind of just an example of how
Proof of
things,
existence,
proof of
proof of
concept.
example.
Yeah,
Right. Proof of concept.
proof of
Yeah.
concept, and just being like, look, we're going to make sure that your game is in good hands till things get figured out on the back end.
Love it. It's awesome. As someone that has known George for a few years now, I have participated in his events in the past. They are wonderfully run. I am excited to be a part of them again in any which way that I can, of course. And of course, you'll definitely find more on this channel leading up to the events, and as we cover it, as George releases more information, we'll continue to cover them. I'm extraordinarily excited, and I am very grateful for you to allow me to help you guys announce this for everyone. Thank you so much, sir.
Anytime. Love to partner with outstanding members of the community, and I really want to continue to help out everybody as we kind of just like grow Lorcana to, if that can break like top 3, top 4 game,
Yeah,
honestly, that would be fantastic. I think it has the potential. I love playing the game. Me and my wife have been jamming it for a while now.
That's awesome.
And I really, because we have the passion behind it, it's not just like a business thing to us. We want to make sure that we set it up for success. So.
Are you an old school Disney fan? Are you a Disney adult?
Of course, who isn't? I mean, like, we're still playing card games here in our 30s, dude. Like,
you're so right. You're so right.
We're all married to our childhood at this point, right? Like,
we are. We are. Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much. For anyone, one last time, these are where you're gonna find it. Keep an eye on
PPGEventmanagement.com, guys. Yeah.
Yep. I will all the descriptions and everything will be in the description that
Yep.
George listed here, so I'll have access to all of it. You can find your conventions. I'll make sure they're badged, all that crap. We do know for sure already that you need one for non-Dusticon. You don't need one for Miami TCG, but what about Galaxy? Do we know anything about that yet?
Yeah, you will. Yeah.
You will need one for Galaxy. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I will do my best. I'll have everything in the information for everyone. And once again, thank you so much, Machado, for hanging out with me. And I look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks, probably.
I'll see you, man. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Bye, guys.
All right. See you guys.